Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Back to School webinar series. I'm Malvina Ibrahim, a registered dietitian working with the Canadian Celiac Association, and I'm excited to be presenting this series with the CCA. We'd like to especially thank our sponsor, Promise Gluten Free, for helping bring this Back to School webinar series to life. Today, we'll be focusing on preparing you as a young adult as you enter the world of post-secondary school and most likely living alone. There are many fears and anxieties that tend to come with this big and exciting change, and living gluten-free can be a big one. As you move away from home, you can no longer be reliant on your parents to make sure that all the food around you is gluten-free. You have to be much more aware of your surroundings, and you have to be self-reliant to make all your own decisions while staying healthy. If you're a mom or dad watching this because your child is entering post-secondary school, feel free to share this video with them so they can use these strategies. And if they can't watch it live, don't worry. We'll be posting this video after the live session, and it'll be saved on both our Facebook group and our Facebook page. So it's going to be very easy for you to share. Before you start the process of preparing for university or college with celiac disease, be sure to review all the basics, like the different forms of gluten and where they're commonly found, even the basics of how to avoid cross-contact with proper hygiene. You're probably very comfortable in your lifestyle at home and having support from your family and friends, but this will all change. So be sure to walk into the next chapter prepared. Before you start the process of moving in, make sure to contact academic and resident advisors to tell them that you have celiac disease and ask if they have an established action plan in place for incoming students with any form of gluten intolerance. It's more than likely that food service staff and health professionals are well aware of the requirements of people with celiac disease and gluten intolerance, and they can help students establish an individualized action plan that'll work for you. Feel free to ask them all the common questions you would usually ask when dining out, and how they prevent cross-contact of gluten in the kitchen if you're looking into dorms with meal plans. It's likely that they'll be addressing it as they do food allergies. For example, they may provide a comprehensive list of gluten-free meal options and a schedule of when each of these will be on the menu. But it's still important to ask to ensure that you feel safe and comfortable in your new environment. And remember that there's no need to apologize for asking about your safety. Be confident because it's really your right to feel safe wherever you live. A list of 6 common and important questions to ask are: first, is the meal plan mandatory in your residence? If so, which it usually is, can you opt out of it if they can't accommodate your dietary restrictions due to your condition? Second, if you can't opt out, do they offer custom meals and special diet food, specifically gluten-free options for gluten intolerances? Third, can you get access to the dining hall menu ingredients, whether in advance or in the dining hall? Also, do the staff on site know the ingredients of the food? So can you go up to someone who's working and ask what are the specific ingredients in the food that they're serving? Number 4, are the dining hall staff trained in cross-contamination? Most food service staff, this is mandatory, but it's still just important to check. Next, what other dining hall amenities do they offer for individuals with celiac disease and allergies? And lastly, make sure to ask what housing options are available to students with celiac disease. Specifically, you can ask which dorm style allows microwaves and fridges in the dorm room. You can reach out to university housing with a medical letter, and they should be able to provide you with the best housing options for you, along with the accommodations they can provide you. You should ask all these questions before choosing a dorm, as you may need to choose your dorm style based on what the university can offer you. If a meal plan will work for you, when you move in, work to build a relationship with the frontline food service staff who will be handling your food daily in the dining hall, as they're the ones who will be giving you the safe food. Tell them about your conditions so that they can remember to provide you with gluten-free food only, and they can warn you if you're reaching for something that maybe isn't gluten-free. If the dining hall kitchen cannot offer you a safe meal plan, then a standard dorm without a kitchen is likely not the best option for you. Instead, you can look into suite-style dorm rooms that come with a shared kitchen or kitchenette. If you're having trouble getting your needs met, speak to the officials of your post-secondary school who are in charge of student accessibility and accommodation. And regardless of where you end up living, one very important tip is to always keep gluten-free snacks handy because you never know where you may end up in a situation where reliable gluten-free food isn't easily accessible, like in a lecture hall that's far from your house or your room. So it's very good to have that just always on hand and easy for you to reach for. Regardless, whether in your first year or after you move out of the school dorms, you're more than likely going to be living with roommates. It would be easy to have roommates that are also gluten-free because you would never have to worry about cross-contact or needing your own gluten-free appliances, but that's often not the case. The first step in dealing with a roommate is to always tell them about your condition and explain the risks that accompany it, along with the special needs that you require. And after that, work with your roommates to set rules and guidelines for the kitchen, like having a gluten-free cupboard or drawer, or having a gluten-free dedicated cooking equipment and utensils that are labeled and shouldn't be used for foods that contain gluten. This isn't always necessary on a tight budget, as there are many ways to avoid exposure to gluten without having two separate full kitchen utensils and equipment. Most of the time, if the cooking equipment and utensils are washed thoroughly, then there should be no remaining gluten to cause any cross contact. You can also always use parchment paper or aluminum foil and line your pans, and that'll avoid you having your food touch the same surfaces, and that's just to be extra careful. But if you do end up choosing to buy your own cooking equipment and utensils, then try to make it visually different than your roommates, so it's not easily confused and you won't be reaching for your pots and pans, for example. So you can try the bright colored pots and pans or utensils with a pattern on it, and that way it's very visually different than your roommates. Cross contact also tends to be a large issue for small appliances. Whether you have a microwave in your dorm with your roommates or you're using a shared microwave in the cafeteria, the likelihood that it's cleaned after every use is pretty much slim to none. It tends to be a larger expense to buy your own microwave, or maybe housing doesn't allow microwaves in your dorm room. So always take precautions when using the microwave. Use microwave safe containers and never put food directly on a microwave plate to avoid any cross contact. A more worthy investment could be a whole separate gluten-free dedicated toaster, toaster oven, and blenders, as they are much harder to clean in the creases to ensure that there's no gluten crumbs. When living with roommates, no matter how understanding and accommodating they may be, mistakes will happen, and it's not a great feeling, but bring it up to your roommates and try to problem solve together to come up with solutions. And that'll make living together so much easier. As a student living gluten-free, you are now completely responsible for your own nutrition as you get to make all your meal choices. There are many naturally gluten-free foods that are healthier than processed foods, and this includes fruits, vegetables, meat, seafood, eggs, beans, rice, quinoa, and corn. These foods may take a bit more time to cook, but they will provide you with much more nutrition than fast food. Try to take a few hours on the weekend to meal prep for the week, and that could help with time saving. Also, an easy way to stay healthy on a budget when grocery shopping is never go to the grocery store hungry. A lot of people underestimate the effects of being hungry when grocery shopping, but I felt it myself when I can't help but buy everything in the store, even if I don't need it, just because I'm so hungry. So always go after a meal or at least after a snack. Also, an important tip to remember is try to only shop the perimeters of the grocery store. That's where all the whole foods will be, both fresh and frozen. And as soon as you enter the inside aisles, that's when you'll find more of the processed foods. Another common issue that students face is time. With so much going on all the time, from classes to studying to trying to maintain a social life and finding the time to sleep, meal prep tends to end up on the bottom of the list of priorities. You can find quick and on-the-go recipes like meatball subs, pizza rolls, steak sandwich, avocado tuna salad, even quinoa salad, the list can go on. Our partner at Promise Gluten Free have some of these recipes and a lot of other easy and delicious recipes on their website, so be sure to check them out. You can even try to dedicate, like I mentioned before, a few hours on the weekend to meal prep and find recipes that will freeze well so you can just defrost and eat during the week rather than having to worry about cooking. But in terms of the overall university experience, it really doesn't differ from everyday life in the way that not everyone understands celiac disease and how important the gluten-free diet is. They may think you're just another one of those people who are trying this fad gluten-free diet. So take the time to explain it to them and the seriousness of it. It may take a few tries and mistakes along the way when one of your friend accidentally uses your peanut butter and may cause you to get some not so great symptoms and some pain. And unfortunately, mistakes happen. An adjustment period is necessary until everyone around you starts to understand and gets accustomed to your needs. This will also happen more often if you're just newly diagnosed. So, and it may take you more time to get adjusted, but you will. Over time, it'll happen. An important thing to remember is you need to build a support system. You always have your family and friends at home, but now you're in this new place. You need to build a new network of people that will support you when mistakes are made and when you're feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. University is very stressful. Trust me, I've been through it. Many people have, but adding the pressure of such a strict diet only adds to the stress. So that's why it's so important to go easy on yourself because, again, mistakes happen. And it's okay to feel down just as long as you pick yourself up again and you keep pushing forward. You'll honestly learn a lot along the way and you'll make lifelong friends. So it'll all be worth it at the end. So thank you very much for listening. And I hope you gathered some helpful tips on preparing for university or college. If you have any further questions, you can always visit us at www.celiac.ca.